Okay, here we are, another episode, Iron Sharpens Iron. Today, we are with my man, Tim, who has been absolutely crushing it inside the Forest Father Project. So, Tim, you are now finishing up, the fifth week of the program up to this point.
Yep.
And you've been – one thing I will say before I let you kind of introduce yourself, but this is what I always know when a guy is going to – make progress when you're just on the ball from the get-go, like following through on the tasks I ask you to do. Like the first few days, it's like, boom, you're on it, and you're just following through. And here we are, 5 weeks later, and we've made some awesome progress, man. So Tim, I'll let you kind of introduce yourself.
Yeah. All right. So Tim Kiefer, here in Omaha. I'll give you the real quick high level. I'm a 48-year-old father of three. I've got a 14-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 4-year-old. So I've got a good gap there. Been married for not quite 20. I guess it'll be 15 years this year. Have been professional here in Omaha. I had, prior to a couple of years of pretty solid layoff, I had been for about 22 years a very consistent distance runner, run a number of marathons. I have no idea how many half marathons I've run, but a ton of those, and done a couple of triathlons as well, half Ironman size triathlons. But a couple of years ago, I got hurt, and I couldn't run for about a year, and I just lost that habit entirely. In the interim, I've not been able to get that habit started up again. I put on close to 50 pounds. I've just kind of struggled on a lot of different things. And so the other big struggle there was about the same time I got hurt, I had a career setback that kind of hit my confidence pretty well, and kind of dodged stuff a lot in the interim time frame. So back in December, ran across an ad for the Forest Father Project, hit me 100% exactly where I was. Everything rang true. And so I had the chance to talk to Travis a couple days later, and it's been an absolutely fantastic experience in the intervening time frame. So, by way of introduction, that's probably it.
That's real interesting, man. Going back deep, all through the good stuff, the bad stuff. And here we are now. So when you initially saw that, and that's typically how a lot of guys come across this as a Facebook ad. And so you see it, I'm talking, and what were your first thoughts about that? Like, cause it's always interesting to ask guys after you've been in the program and that it's not a scam or, it's proven to work. We've gotten to this point. What was your initial thought?
My initial thought was, okay, I've tried a lot of these kinds of things, right? But the one, literally like line by line reading that thing was, you just hit me exactly where I was. And honestly, probably 99 times out of 100, I might have scanned through that and not followed up on it. But something that day, it's just been a long time coming where I just kind of knew I needed to make a change. And I was having a really hard time. I could go out and design a running program for when I'm in shape to run, and I would have no problem. I am not in shape to run, or I was not. And I couldn't get myself to get back to it. So I thought to myself, you know what, I need some help. I need a coach, and I need a little bit of a kick in the ass, and I need to look at doing some things differently than I've done. And being in a room, lifting weights is something I have never done. I've never known how to do. And truthfully, it's always been kind of intimidating. So the notion of looking at it and saying, hey, I'm going to have a coach. There's a program here. I liked the initial approaches there about things like the brotherhood. So you've got a group of people supporting you and things like that. It was intriguing, but it wasn't until the initial phone call with you, Travis, where, you pressed pretty hard on, I'm not really interested in taking you in on this program unless you're really going to do it. Right? I liked the fact that it didn't come across as, hey, I've got some space I need to fill, and you're somebody who might fill it, so let's get you in here. It was much more of, I'm asking you for a commitment, and it's a serious commitment. If you're not willing to make it, then I'm going to move on to somebody who will. And that worked for me. I appreciated that.
Yeah. And as you've experienced up to this point, it's like, a lot of guys out there, they're in the same spot that you were in, 5-6 weeks ago. They want to change. They need a change badly, but when it comes, down to actually doing the work that is required, like there's a huge difference there, right? And so, like I mentioned at the start of this little chat here, like what I've appreciated, and respect out of you is like right from the get-go, man. It was like, boom, let's go to work, and you're just following through on the tasks, and here we are now, man. We've made some great progress up to this point. So for you, like, what have the big wins for you personally been up to this point, man?
Yeah, I will say that there have been big wins in the gym, right? Things are easier. I feel like I know what I'm doing in some of these cases. I looked today just at the kind of the history on each of the exercises for today, and I've essentially doubled the weight on everything that we're doing.
Awesome.
So there's those wins, but really, when I look at it, the biggest wins are all based around mindset. It's when I having the conversation with you, I stepped in saying, what, I'm going to commit. I'm going to commit 100% to this. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm assuming Travis does. I'm going to follow everything he says to the letter. And, that's been good. And a lot of that has been the morning gratitude type stuff, planning ahead for meals, but the connection probably as much as anything. And so if I were to really look at the biggest win I've had in the last 5 weeks, it was 2 or 3 days ago. I came home from work and my son had made a handwritten best dad ever sign, and
yeah,
that was that focus on connection.
Yeah.
And it's having the energy to be able to get up off the couch and do stuff with him, having not just the desire, because I have a desire, but the drive and the means to go through it. And that's probably been the biggest thing so far. My wife's mentioned that she sees me more present, deeper engaged. So all of that's been great.
I love it.
That's probably the biggest thing. The rest of it's all going to come. I've been committed in the gym, and I'm committed on figuring out all this fuel as well. But that's probably the biggest mindset, or mindset's probably the biggest win.
Awesome. I love to hear that, man. Especially like on the family side of things, because if we think about it, like a lot of times that's what's suffering the most for a lot of guys is they let themselves slip. They get into this deep hole physically, so they lose themselves physically, but then mentally it starts affecting them, but then it starts bleeding out to other areas of your life. So your professional life, your life at home, your relationships, and all that stuff starts to suffer.
Yeah.
And so when we take a step back and, okay, let's gain control of the physical self. That's something that we can control. Like let's move more. Let's get stronger. Let's get fitter. Let's fuel our body, better. Right. And so we get a hold of that, and then everything else starts to, really, piece together. And so.
Yeah, there's no doubt that's been, I can see that across the board. And that's exactly where I was. I had said probably a couple months ago, I'd said to my wife, I was mid-30s when our first 2 kids were born, right? And then I was mid-40s when my youngest was born. And the amount of energy and attention that the first 2 I had for the first 2 was so different than I had for the youngest. I'm lucky I get to spend a lot of time with my youngest, and it's wonderful. But a lot of that's spent watching her do stuff.
Yeah.
Instead of engaged with her doing stuff. And over the last couple of weeks, my energy level has shot up. My attention to detail in this particular part of my life has shot up, and it's had a huge impact.
Love it, man. Love it. It's good stuff. It's always great to hear that, because, we make these physical changes, but then it's like, as a result of making the physical changes, how is that impacting our life? How is that, improving the quality of our life? And that's really what it's all about, right? Like, and I know I talk about this on, like, often it's like, it's not about building 6-pack abs and, biceps and all this type of stuff, where a lot of guys, that's what they think they want, but like what they really want is, just more energy in day-to-day life, better connection with the relationships they have, you know, more focus, more confidence in themselves. And when we dig down deep, that's really what we're all, you know, trying to get at. So
yeah, as the mind goes, so goes the body, and vice versa, right?
Yep. So in addition to like the big wins for you, like mindset wise, like digging into that a little bit deeper, like what are some of the big breakthroughs that you've experienced up to this point?
From a mindset perspective or in general?
Yeah.
So from the mindset, I mean, honestly, I think a couple of things, right? So one was recognizing that I have agency in the outcomes that I'm involved in, right? So instead of just kind of coasting through existence and taking what comes my way, I have the ability to make things move. And so the massive action is the thing I think of all the time. Like driving into work today, I've got a busy day today. This is my only break where I'm not in a work related meeting. So driving into today, I'm like, you know, this is going to be a hard day. It's going to be a busy day. I'm going to put massive action to effect, and I'm going to have a great day.
Yeah.
I will say that it's probably been a couple of years for me driving into work saying, you know what, I'm going to make a great day out of today. It's been more like, you know, a few hours from now, I'm going to leave. And so the quality of my work, the quantity of the output, the work relationships that I built have all improved. The home life has been outstanding. And then just in general with friendships as well, busy. But I think in terms of just the commitment to all of it, right? So I said, you know what, I'm not going to miss a day. I'm not going to miss a day of this Forge Father Challenge. And, you know, unless I somehow or another get injured really badly before Friday, I'm not going to miss a day, right? And I don't intend to start once that's done. On the fuel standpoint, I thought, you know, this is all completely foreign to me. I've never paid any attention to it. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to work hard at it. So just that is the mindset breakthrough, has been back to the notion of I'm capable of driving this. I'm capable of figuring it out. I'm going to make this work.
Owning up, taking ownership.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, I think there's a quote that a former boss of mine used to use all the time, which was, inertia is the strongest force in the universe. Right? And so I think that's really true. And so I was in a pretty inert state, both physically, mentally, emotionally, all these things. I was in a pretty inert state. And this gave me a chance to shake that up. I see tools I can use going forward. I see a group of people that have helped hold me accountable and that I can hold myself accountable to, and a great set of coaching and a place where I can go figure this stuff out. So I love what I've run into.
It's awesome, man. I love hearing that. Big breakthroughs with the mindset. And, you know, the mind is really like the foundation that will drive everything else forward. You know what I mean? And so just like with the action taking ownership, basically just living through the codes that we have set inside the Forge Father, that's like the glue that holds everything together. You know what I mean? So that's awesome, man. But for you, Tim, like looking ahead, like what are the big focuses for you? There you go. There are the codes right there, man.
Yeah. So, you know, going forward, a couple of things. One, I'm going to work with Cody on his nutrition coaching certification, because that's still, you know, just figuring this out on the macros and things is still, some of this is still pretty foreign to me. So I'm still working through that. I think that's going to help a lot. Continue to work on strength is a part of what I want to do. And so moving into the main class there, I got a lot of things I got to learn how to do. Just, 5 weeks ago, that was pretty nerve wracking. Now I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
I want to drop some weight, to be real frank. And I haven't so far dropped a lot, but, I haven't dropped a lot of weight, but my clothes fit differently and better, and I feel better, and my legs kind of feel and approach what they were when I was running half marathons. So, so that, continuing to strength, I want to drop some weight, but I didn't go into this looking for a quick fix. I didn't assume it was a quick fix. It took me 4 years to get to the position where I was in, 6 weeks ago. I don't think it's going to turn around in 6 weeks, but 6 months from now, I'm going to look back at where I was and it's going to be completely different. 6 months after that, I'm going to look back at where I was at that point. It's going to be completely different going forward.
Yeah. I love it, man. It's awesome. Yeah. Speaking of like, the long-term process of these things, right? And so if we look at where you're at, and I remember having a conversation with you when we first talked, you being an ex-runner, like I knew that conversation, more than likely you were a guy that was just, your metabolism was broke. Your body was just like kind of broken down from all those years of just running.
Yeah.
And so this is like, I want to pull this out because a lot of guys need to hear this. And so for you, number one, big respect to you because a lot of guys get fixated on the weight. Like, is the weight going down? Am I losing weight? And if they don't lose weight, if you're in like a quick fix, instant gratification type mindset, you see that the weight's not going down. And so you quit. You're like, oh, well, this doesn't work. I better go try something else. Right. And so you've stuck with it, and we've seen the positives. So you mentioned how your clothes are fitting differently. And so we know there's a change in body composition going on. And that's really important. Even though that the scale isn't going down a whole ton, we're just setting ourselves up for like the rush. So basically a lot of times for guys that are especially coming from where you were, like being a runner for so long, that takes a beating on your metabolism because the body would much rather lose a lot of muscle than retain it when you're running, because when you're running, your body wants to be more efficient. And so the more muscle mass you have on your body, the less efficient it's going to be to run, right? Especially for long distances, right? And so your body almost becomes accustomed to that, and the metabolism kind of drops down with it. And so part of the process that we've been going through up to this point, Tim, is like essentially rebuilding your engine, right? And so now we're getting to the point, and it's always, I kind of explain it like this, like we're in a roller coaster and we're going up the hill, and like anticipation is like building, and you're so ready for like the ride to finally start. That's basically like the point that we're at right now, because we've laid the foundation. Like we've gone through, the initial phases of like training. Like the first couple, like the week was just tough, like soreness, being lightheaded,
throw up,
wanting to throw up, all this stuff. But we've gotten through that, and we've built our capacity there. Same thing with nutrition. It's like it was like foreign language to you at the start, just like it is for a lot of guys. But guys are not willing to put in that time. They're not willing to put in that effort to actually lay that foundation. They never get to experience the rush of going down the other side of that roller coaster because they build up. Oh, I'm going to quit. And then they just slide right back down instead of building up, get to the top. All right, push it over the edge. Boom. And that's essentially what we're getting prepared for here, is because we've laid that foundation, and now, putting those blocks in place, it's going to really start to take off. So I'm excited to see, what happens next, man, especially when we really get the nutrition dialed in and all that. So you just got to stay committed, man, and keep putting in the work.
Yeah, I'm going to do it.
Awesome, brother. Great. So what else, do you have anything else that you want to leave off with here, Tim? Like anything, I guess, like you would say to the old Tim, the Tim, 6 weeks ago, 12 weeks ago, what's the biggest piece of advice that you'd give that guy?
Wake up.
Yeah.
I mean, only go around once, and to just kind of drift for a few years is a real waste of time.
Yep.
And so, more than anything, that's what it would be. And thankfully, this is the wake up. And a couple of things that I've heard that stick to me, right, is discipline over motivation.
Yep.
So motivation's easy. It was easy to be motivated to call you that day. Discipline is, I think I'm still working on the discipline, but the motivation's there, and I'm going to get the discipline in place to continue.
Awesome,
stuff. The other one was, it was in a post. I don't remember who wrote it, but somebody was talking about how they were going on a trip, a work trip, and they had to kind of bring some food with them. And the comment was, I'm not going to be perfect, but I'm going to be great. Mm-hmm. And that quote has been kind of the mantra that I've run with since that point. So, and that's, I just love the notion. Like, that there can be times that it's not going to be perfect.
Yep.
But I'm not going to let that hold me back. So.
Perfection is the enemy of progress, really.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
all progress is going to be imperfect progress, essentially. So you just got to continue to take those steps forward, take the good days with the bad days, because there will be bad days. So
Yeah.
just
Yeah. No, it's been great. I mean, I think the last thing, I just kind of looking at some notes I took there, before I, want to thank you, Travis. I think you put together a program that hits on kind of all elements of what it takes to be a good human being, right? It's all the five, the top or core five, right? So fuel, fitness, mindset, connection, having a plan in place is what you're going to do. The coaches, Kelsey and Cody, have been great. The guys that I've had the pleasure of working out with have been great. The other people at the gym and the people in the brotherhood have been awesome, and just being open and friendly and caring, and not letting me bullshit anybody. They call you out on the bullshit, which is great too. You need that. So accountability is key. I think you put it together a great program that hits on all that stuff, and I'm happy I ran into it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. But yeah, as well as I do, it takes work. It takes commitment. And unfortunately, that's just not for everybody, right? And so, yeah, you got to be willing to follow through and, make the system work for you, right? The system isn't gonna do the work for you. You gotta do the work yourself. So it's been awesome, man. So keep pushing forward, keep forging ahead, and it's exciting to see what's next for you, man.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah, buddy.